So now you take the contents that we just put into the system out there, right, and you copy them into that. We don't need the bracket because it's not a method call. So, text we want to print now contains the name of the account holder is Jim Smith. So we take text we want to print and we put that in there instead of an ordinary string. We don't need the speech marks or anything because that is the name of the variable that we know contains that. So when we run it, we'll get exactly the same result. But we now know it's using an intermediate, a little variable in between to print it, which is quite nice. Now, if we wanted to print the amount of money the guy has, right? So you just double click on bank balance, Control C that, so you've got the variable name stored. Now, we make another string, right? And we call it text we want to print. Same as before, right? We do that. But that doesn't work because we already have something called text we want to print. So we could call this text we want to print too. But actually we're going to think, why do we need a copy of it? That one has been used and been printed. So we'll just use the same one, right? And in that instance, you can just copy and paste the existing line like that and paste it here. And it won't affect anything because that's been set up and printed. Now we set it up again and print it again. Of course, if we wanted to use text we want to print later, the value of it, then we wouldn't be able to reuse it like that. But in this case, we can. And these are some of the things I think about when I'm developing during the day, just ways to speed things up, just by copying and pasting, and instead of having to type everything out again. And believe me, you have to learn a lot of the tricks eventually when you're using Java, otherwise you just spend your whole day typing line after line of code. So all of the cool things built into Java are designed to minimize the typing you have to do, and all of these little tricks I'm showing you are just things that I've come up with over the years that I guess any secretary or anyone who uses a word processor even every day, not a word processor but something similar, would do the same tricks. Anyway, it's fun to be efficient. So now we don't want to print the name of the account holder, we want to print his bank balance, right? So we can say the account contains, and I'm going to do something sneaky. No, I'm not. I'm just going to delete that. I'm going to put, for now, I'm going to put the pound sign, right? Because that's my currency. You can put your dollar sign or any sign you want. And if you want to add something after, like a plus like that, you add a plus and two speech marks, then you can type what you want in there after. So I could say pounds there and get rid of the pound. Or you could put dollars or whatever your currency that you want to use in there. So now you've set that up, you want to print it, right? Same identical thing as before, so just copy and paste that command, and when you run it you'll see that it will print the name of the account holder is Jim Smith. The account contains Jim Smith pounds. Well there you go, there's one of the problems of copying and pasting. Obviously I don't want to use the name there, I want to use the balance. So we want the integer bank balance. Put that in, run it, and you can see we get the name of the account holder is Jim Smith, the account contains £0. So that's great. We set up a bank account, we're going to be rich. We can change this to 5,000 and run it again, and immediately we have £5,000. So I can change that value to anything I want. Now in a real banking program, probably do some work on the number, wouldn't it? It wouldn't just let you have the 5,000 that you choose. So let's assume, and we'll press space a few times to get some space. And what I like to do is just separate things up with a few comments like this. I mean, you don't have to do this in the least, but I find it's visually nice on the eyes to separate things up. For example, I might go up here and say all variables for the program, something like that. And here I might put account logic. I might even put more like that, you know. Depends on how much code is going to go in there. But I like to keep it easy on the eye so you can scan through and see what it is. And then give it a sub-comment like, deduct this week's bills, right? So now to do that, we can say bank balance equals, well, if we knew exactly what it equaled, that's my space bar going weird, we could just say 3,000. But we don't, right? We need to do mathematics, or math. So what you actually do is you do bank balance equals bank balance, right? So it's basically 5,000 equals 5,000. Take away, well, how much were the bills? 120, right? The bills were. So now bank balance represents 5,000, take away 120. And to verify that, we'll just run it. So now you see, the name of the account holder is Jim Smith. The account contains £4,880. Well, he's paid his bills, he's still got enough money left, he's lucky. But what we need to do is quantify the bill, right? 120, what does that mean? What is that? Let's say that Jim likes to buy chocolate, right? So we can make a variable called int chocolate. No, we'll call it money spent on chocolate, right? And notice the capitalization I'm doing. If you keep this consistent, then you'll never have to guess what your variables are. You'll think, well, what would I call it? Well, I'd probably call it money spent on chocolate, and I'd probably use the uppercase and lowercase, and you type that and it works. Or you spend hours going back to work out what you called it. So you've got to keep your variables consistent, obviously. So now we have his weekly bill, money spent on chocolate equals £120. So we don't actually need to subtract 120. We subtract money spent on chocolate. So when we run this, we will have exactly the same result, right? Obviously. But we now know that we've quantified that the money spent on chocolate is the 120. And that's a nice way to code it, right? We don't want to have to go back later and worry about what was spent on what and how and refactor it into variables. You know, they call it refactoring when you have to go back and get it all nice. Sorry, I've got a bit of a cold at the moment. So what I try to do is get it nice first time, and that's what all coders try to do, obviously. And that's what you should try and do too. I mean, at the beginning you can write some nasty code, it doesn't really matter as long as you're trying to get things done. But as you improve, you should be trying to get proud of your code, the elegance of it. You'll hear programmers talk about the elegance of their code if you work with them and that, and you think, at the beginning, you think that's a bit weird, you know, but actually, sooner or later, all programmers will be looking at their code and smiling and thinking it's elegant. And whether it is or not is a different matter, but that's all down to a matter of opinion. Work towards feeling proud of your code is the only point. So let's say Jim Smith, he also likes, what else does he like? Toys. So I can say toys equals 100. Well, that doesn't work, does it? It should be in the same manner as my other one. Money spent on toys equals 100, right? He's well into his toys. He's bought a lot of them. So now, if we want to deduct that, we can either copy and paste this, just put it underneath, right? So that would take away chocolate twice. We don't want that. We want to take away chocolate once and toys. Well, let's run that. And first of all, what would you expect to happen? You know, this is how you work out if your program works or not, really. I expect that it will start and it will say the name of the account holder is Jim Smith. The account holder contains, and then it'll be 500, take away the money spent on chocolate, which is 120, take away another 100, which is money spent on toys, right? So it'll be 4,780, I guess. Let's run it and find out. Always make sure it is what you expect, and it is what we expected. Now you don't have to do all this maths in your head. You can trust that Java will get it correct, of course. And now let's think of another one. Just for the aid of example, we'll think of another one because I want to show you another cool little trick. Right, let's say like comics too, this bloke. He's not very mature, is he? But he could be a school kid. So we'll call it money spent on comics. And of course this could be cars, luxury yachts, buildings, anything. So he spent 1,000 on